One of the most prevalent genocides in our society today occurs in a newly liberated nation called South Sudan. Years of civil war in this area has plagued many ethnic groups and their citizens, and the conflict between the government and the people has reached an all-time high. The United Nations Security Council must find a solution to this violent genocide. However, before we look at the current situation in South Sudan, let's look back at the past.
Before the independence of South Sudan was a part of Sudan. Sudan had long been a country divided by ethnic groups. The northern part of Sudan was Muslim, and the southern part was traditionally Christian. This divide created a civil war of sorts, but the fighting eventually came to an end with a peace treaty in 2005. The peace treaty allowed South Sudan to declare independence on July 9, 2011, with the backing of the Obama administration and the international community at large. However, the excitement at the birth of a new nation was short-lived because this newfound peace quickly developed into an all-out genocide. South Sudan was a new nation, but the ethnic groups were still separated. The two main ethnic groups were the Dinka and the Nuer. South Sudan's newly elected president, Salva Kiir, a Dinka, tried to express unity among the two groups when he offered Riek Machar, a Nuer, to be his VP. Although this action was generous, South Sudan was not suited for independence. Political positions were given to unqualified people, the international community stepped away from the region, and the political tensions grew higher when Machar criticized Kiir's policies. Shortly thereafter, Machar and Kiir faced off. Each of them formed paramilitary groups whose sole objective was to destroy the other. These paramilitary groups used hate speech and any means necessary to ethically cleanse the other group. This has created a government versus opposition civil war with no end in sight. In addition, the fighting has only gotten worse as neighboring countries like Sudan and Uganda are sending weapons into the region. Today, the fighting continues, and the UNSC must do something to make things right.
Now that we've had a look at some of the basics of the South Sudan genocide, let's look back at some of the victims, the perpetrators, the things that the international community has done thus far, and then some of the things that I believe the international community should do in the future.
The victims of this genocide are the everyday citizens of South Sudan. They are not interested in the genocidal acts of the government and the violence of the paramilitary groups. These people simply want to live in peace after years of suffering. Since the war started in December 2015, women are being raped, children are being forced to watch their parents die, and an all-out ethnic cleansing is taking place, of which these civilians are at the center of the conflict. The perpetrators of this genocide are the political leaders who have started this civil war. In particular, Salva Kiir and Riek Machar. They have started an ethnic cleansing, and the government, which is controlled by the Dinka group, will never stop this. The country is suffering with over 50,000 deaths, 70% of schools are closed, 2.3 million people have left the country, and 6 million people are hungry. This conflict qualifies as genocide because it passes the UN definition of genocide. It's an ethnic issue, and the intent to destroy is definitely present in South Sudan.
Currently, the UN peacekeeping forces are helping refugees in South Sudan. The UN has also established camps where these people are safe from the violence of the government. Other countries in the region are either supporting the Dinkas or the Nuers. Meanwhile, the United States has not responded in any major way to the genocide. A peace treaty has been on the table for a while, but the push from major world powers is not there right now.
In my opinion, the UNSC needs to do more to find a solution amid the problems in South Sudan. Since Russia and China would most likely veto an arms embargo on the part of the US, I personally think the United States should push the UNSC to sanction countries that are providing weapons to the South Sudan government. If those countries stop sending weapons, then maybe a peace treaty can be reached between the two sides. In addition, the United States should push neighboring countries to accept more refugees in the short term.